his 5th highest paid. Kirk Cousins. Is the Vikings' 2020 success completely reliant on the performance of the quarterback?
With Cousins, it was always this thing, like he's got to win the big one. He's got to win the big one. Until he wins the big one, we don't want to hear from Cousins. He won a big one, like he beat the Saints in New Orleans, and now I'm at a loss for like how to characterize what we're going to talk about with Kirk Cousins, because he did get that victory, and yet what is success for the Vikings? Here's the truth of the matter. They lose Stephon Diggs, and that's the big headline, and everyone's going to go big about it. Do you know that they also lost Linval Joseph, Everson Griffin, Xavier Rhodes, Trey Waynes, Mackenzie Alexander, from one of the top defenses in the league? And I know those guys, Vikings fans will say, well, they were all terrible last year. Xavier Rhodes couldn't cover anything. Those were 5 key names to a defense that had them in every football game last year. So is it completely reliant on Kirk Cousins? I think it is more reliant on Kirk Cousins this year than it even was the past 2 years, when all the spotlight was on him and saying, can Cousins win the big game? Look, they've lost so many familiar faces from that defense that it's going to have some opportunity for some growing pains this year. When you don't have Linval and Griffin and Rhodes, you're looking at guys that might not necessarily been in the spotlight, and we're asking them, okay, you're a rookie. We drafted you. Can you step up and can you be that guy? Or on offense, hey, Justin Jefferson, we know that you're a really highly touted player. Can you be Stephon Diggs? I think Cousins has to be even better this year. But, man, what a wonderful thing it is to talk this offseason if you're a Vikings fan and not have the giant elephant in the room of the fact that Cousins hadn't won a big game in his career. He got the big win. What can he do now? Sky's the limit for Kirk Cousins and that Vikings team.
Yeah, and Peter, one more name that you didn't mention. Kevin Stefanski was a huge loss for them.
It's true.
It's almost like losing a player, because, I mean, he was the guy that allowed this team to be number one when it came to play-action football. And play-action football is pretty much how the league is ran. No matter how good that you want to be on offense, if you can't fake that handoff to the running back, look up and hit wide receivers down the field, then you're not going to be an effective offense. I do feel like they have all the pieces. So because I mentioned losing Kevin Stefanski, it's not just on Kirk Cousins, it's also on the coaching staff. I mean, when you look at the players, and Adam Thielen talked about it being a resource for Justin Jefferson, like Peter mentioned, you have everything you need, plus Dalvin Cook back there at running back. And I know we all saw some plays last year where Dalvin Cook at certain points, he looked like the best running back in football. So if that's the case, you have a really good QB, you have one of the best running backs, you have wide receivers and tight ends. It's on the coaching staff more than it is on Kirk Cousins. I feel like the pressure is something that should be spread around amongst everybody, guys playing on the field and the coaches on the sideline.
Kirk's got to have a big season. I was in touch with Kirk recently. He's been watching the show. He had a joke that he wanted me to share with you guys with summer vacation coming. He said, share this with the group. Where did the shark go on summer vacation? Finland. Yeah. No, actually, he didn't say it. I just looked it up. But I'm sure Kirk has fallen off his chair. That's a good joke. Here's the real joke. The Vikings offense plan this year is to light up the scoreboard. And I really do mean that. Peter, I think you're all over it. A lot of defensive names gone. All those names we're used to in that dome and pressuring quarterbacks, gone. And if you look at the draft, it was a very Cousins-friendly draft. 2 of their first 3 picks, Jefferson, the receiver, and then they go and they get an offensive tackle in Ezra Cleveland. They're going to run and they're going to chuck. There's a little inside note about Ezra Cleveland. The thing everybody's excited about, this big tackle they drafted in Minnesota, he was an 11-pound baby when he was born. And there's all this Paul Bunyan talk about him, and Paul Bunyan, where in Minnesota, where Paul Bunyan and Babe the Blue Ox actually are, that is quickly becoming his Larry Fitzgerald was a ball boy for the Vikings. Ezra Cleveland was an 11-pound baby. If you don't know about babies, you're not into babies. An 11-pound baby is like a 500-pound adult. And I don't mean like the Gilbert Grape kind. I mean like the mountain kind. It is a biblically sized child. And that man will now be playing right tackle for Kirk Cousins when he throws to Thielen and Jefferson. I think this team is looking to win games 38-31. I know Zimmer would never cop to that, but you look at the roster in the draft, that's what it looks like.
Ooh.
11
Dadjokes.com. You're all mentioning running the ball. I love it. This is built on the run game, and that, of course, play action off of that. Big thanks to Dalvin Cook, who I had on Instagram a couple weeks ago. I begged him for this chef hoodie that is always sold out on his website, and he was nice enough to hook up everybody here on Good Morning Football. So thank you, Dalvin Cook, and crush it again this year. So good to see him finally have his breakout season in the NFL.